The silk tulle whispered against my fingertips as I adjusted the cathedral-length veil one last time. In the mirror, I looked like everything I'd dreamed of since I was 7 years old, sketching wedding dresses in the margins of my school notebooks. It's perfect, I breathed, turning slowly on the pedestal at Eloise' bridal. The Valentina gown, $8,000 of French lace and hand-sewn pearls, moved like water around me. You look stunning, Harper, my consultant, Marie said warmly. Should we say yes to the dress? Yes, I said without hesitation. Absolutely yes. What I didn't say was that I already knew every detail of this dress. I'd selected it personally for our boutique 6 months ago, fallen in love with it at market, and negotiated the wholesale price down to the penny. But Marie didn't know I owned Eloise Bridal. None of the staff who weren't managers knew. I preferred it that way. It let me see how my employees treated every bride, not just their boss. Wonderful. Let me get the paperwork started. Will you be taking it today? No, I'll pick it up after alterations. The wedding isn't for 3 months. As Marie helped me out of the gown, my phone buzzed. Mom. Where are you? Lunch was at noon. I'd forgotten, again, because somehow, even at 32, even owning 3 successful boutiques, I still jumped when Patricia Chin called. Sorry, Mom, I'll be there in 20. The restaurant was Mom's choice. Of course, overpriced, understated, the kind of place where she could be seen by the right people. She was already seated when I arrived, her disapproval radiating across the dining room. Harper, she looked me up and down. You couldn't have changed? You look like you've been shopping. I slid into my seat. I was shopping for my wedding dress, actually. Oh? Her eyebrow arched. Where? Eloise Bridal. She sipped her wine. I suppose that's acceptable, though really, darling, for a second wedding, don't you think something less dramatic would be appropriate? There it was, the dig about my failed first marriage. Never mind that it had ended 8 years ago. Never mind that my ex-husband had cheated with his secretary. In Mom's world, I was damaged goods. It's not a second wedding for James, I said quietly. No, which is why he deserves. She cut herself off, but I knew the end of that sentence. He deserves better. Speaking of weddings, Mom brightened. Did I mention Chloe is engaged? My cousin Chloe, the golden child of our extended family, Harvard MBA, engaged to a senator's son, everything Mom wished I was. That's nice, I managed. Nice, Harper, it's going to be the wedding of the year, the Fairmont, 500 guests, and she asked me to help plan it. Mom glowed with pride she'd never shown for anything I'd done. In fact, we're going dress shopping tomorrow. That sounds fun. You should see her, Harper. She's lost so much weight. Really takes care of herself. Not like another meaningful look at my size 10 body. I focused on my salad, letting her words wash over me. Same song, different verse. Chloe was perfect. I was not. Chloe deserved the world. I deserved whatever scraps I could get. Anyway, Mom said, what dress did you choose? The Valentina. It's $8,000? Mom's voice carried across the restaurant. Harper, that's obscene. For a dress you'll wear once, and for a small wedding, I can afford it. Mom, can you? Really? I know you have your little shop, but 3 shops, I corrected, and they're not little. She waved dismissively. Still, $8,000. That money could go to something sensible, like a house. You are still renting, aren't you? I wasn't. I owned a beautiful Craftsman in Queen Anne, but telling her that would only lead to questions about how I could afford it, and I wasn't ready for that conversation. The dress makes me happy, I said simply. Happiness, Mom scoffed. Chloe's dress budget is $20,000, but that's different. She's marrying a Pemberton. Image matters at that level. Of course it was different. Everything was different for Chloe. 3 days later, I was at the flagship Eloise location, reviewing quarterly reports in my back office, when Marie knocked. Harper, there's a situation on the floor. A customer is asking for you specifically. For me? I frowned. Did they give a name? Patricia Chen. She says she's your mother? My blood went cold. I'll be right out. I found Mom in the main salon, Chloe beside her, examining the Valentina on display. My Valentina. Harper, Mom's smile was sharp. I was just telling Chloe about your dress. Such a beautiful choice. Mom, I said carefully, what are you doing here? Chloe's appointment is tomorrow, but we were nearby and thought we'd peek. Imagine my surprise when they said you'd already purchased this very gown. Chloe circled the dress, her eyes calculating. It's perfect, she breathed. Absolutely perfect. The lace, the train, it's exactly what I envisioned. That's my dress, I said. I already bought it, but you haven't picked it up yet, Mom said brightly. The girl, Marie? She said it's still in alterations. Yes, because I'm having it fitted, Harper. Mom's voice took on that tone I'd heard my whole life. The one that preceded every demand disguised as a request. Chloe is your cousin, family, and her wedding is going to be photographed for Town Country. Don't you think she deserves this dress more? It's my wedding dress, I repeated, feeling like a broken record. You can find another, Mom said dismissively. Something more suitable, maybe a nice cocktail dress? For your small wedding. I don't want another dress. I want the one I chose, the one I paid for. About that, Chloe interjected, her voice honey-sweet. I'd be happy to reimburse you, of course. What did you pay? 6,000? 8, I said flatly. Oh, she frowned. That seems high. I'm sure we could negotiate. The price is 8,000, I said, but it doesn't matter because it's not for sale. It's my dress. Mom's face darkened. Harper Chen, you're being selfish. Chloe's wedding is a society event. Yours is, what, 50 people in a garden? 100 people at the Fairmont, I said quietly. The same venue as Chloe, actually, the Grand Ballroom. Both women stared at me. That's impossible, Chloe said. The Grand Ballroom is booked solid for 2 years. I could only get the Pacific room. I shrugged. What can I say? They had a cancellation. It wasn't a cancellation. The owner was a client who'd bought 5 wedding dresses from me for his daughters over the years, but they didn't need to know that. Well, Mom recovered. That's even more reason to be generous. Chloe will be photographed, featured in magazines. You'll just be there. Just be there. Story of my life. The answer is no, I said firmly. Harper, no, Mom, I'm done. I'm done being second best. I'm done giving up what I want because Chloe deserves it more. I'm done being told I'm not enough. I turned to Marie, who was hovering nervously. Please have security escort these women out. Security? Mom gasped. Harper, I'm your mother, and I'm a customer who's being harassed about my purchase. This is ridiculous, Chloe snapped. Aunt Pat, let's go. We'll find a better dress anyway. This place is clearly overpriced. They swept out. Mom turning back to hiss. You'll regret this, Harper. Family remembers. Yeah, I thought. They certainly do. I went back to my office, shaking. My phone rang immediately. James. Hey, beautiful. How's your day? I just kicked my mother out of Eloise Bridal. Good for you, he said without hesitation. This was why I loved him. Want to talk about it over dinner? Actually, I said, making a decision. Can you meet me here? There's something I need to tell you. An hour later, I stood with James in the main salon. The lights dimmed, the store closed. Why are we here? He asked. Because I own it, I said simply. All 3 Eloise Bridal locations. I have for 5 years. His jaw dropped. You, what? I started the company with my inheritance from my grandmother. The one Mom doesn't know about because Grandma knew she'd try to take it. I've been building this business while letting everyone think I'm a struggling boutique owner. Harper, James breathed. This is incredible. Why didn't you tell me? I was going to. After the wedding. I liked that you loved me when you thought I was nobody special. You were never nobody special, he said fiercely, pulling me close. But this explains how you got the Grand Ballroom. I laughed. Among other things. So when your mom was insulting your little shop, she was standing in the middle of a business that did $4 million in revenue last year. James whistled low. Please tell me there are security cameras. Oh yes, I grinned. Would you like to see something? The next morning, Mom called 17 times. I ignored all of them, but when Marie texted me 911, your mother is here with police, I knew I had to deal with it. I arrived to find 2 officers, Mom, Chloe, and a man I assumed was Chloe's fiancé, all crowded in the salon. That's her. Mom pointed at me. My daughter. She stole Chloe's wedding dress. Ma'am. The older officer looked tired. Can you explain the situation? Of course, I said calmly. Marie, please pull up yesterday's security footage. On the screen, clear as day, me, in the Valentina weeks ago, saying yes, the transaction, the receipt. As you can see, I said, I purchased this dress 3 weeks ago. It's currently in alterations under my name. She manipulated the footage. Chloe insisted. That dress was promised to me. By whom? I asked innocently. By rights, by family obligation. The officers exchanged glances. Ma'am, the younger one addressed me. Is this your dress? Yes, bought and paid for. Would you like to see the receipt? She can't do this. Mom shrieked. I'm her mother. I gave her permission to give the dress to Chloe. Mom, I said slowly, you can't give permission for someone else's property. That's called theft. How dare you? Furthermore, I continued, you're trespassing. You've been asked to leave and refused. You can't trespass in a public store. Chloe's fiancé finally spoke. No, I agreed. But you can trespass in a private business when the owner asks you to leave. The owner isn't even here, he scoffed. We asked. I smiled. My favorite moment. Actually, she is. Marie, bless her, chose that moment to hand me my business cards. Eloise Harper Chen, owner and CEO. Eloise Bridal. The silence was deafening. You're Eloise? Mom's voice was faint. Harper Chen. Eloise was Grandma's middle name. You remember Grandma, right? The one whose funeral you skipped because Chloe had a spa appointment? That's impossible, Chloe whispered. You can't afford this place. You're broke, Aunt Pat said. Aunt Pat says a lot of things. I interrupted. Most of them wrong. Now, officers, would you please escort these people out? And Mom? If you come back, I'll file a restraining order. You wouldn't dare, she hissed. Try me. The officers led them out. Mom shouting about family and ingratitude and how I'd rue this day. Chloe was Googling frantically on her phone, her face paling as she found article after article about Eloise Bridal's success. 3 locations? I heard her squeak. Fashion Week presentations? Celebrity clients? Don't forget the Milano expansion next year. I called after them. When they were gone, I turned to my staff, who were staring at me in awe. Everyone gets a bonus this month, I said. And Marie, you're promoted to senior consultant. You handled that beautifully, Harper, Marie said slowly. You're really the owner, this whole time? Surprise? I offered weakly. That was awesome, she burst out. Did you see their faces when you pulled out the business card? Iconic. My phone exploded with family messages over the next few days. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't heard from in years, all suddenly interested in my life, and my business, and whether I might have any dresses I could spare for various events. I ignored them all. The only call I took was from an unknown number that turned out to be Chloe's wedding planner. Miss Chen, I'm calling on behalf of Chloe Liu. She's reconsidered the dress situation and would like to commission a custom gown from Eloise Bridal. Money is no object. I'm sorry, I said sweetly. We're fully booked through next year. Try Kleinfeld. But surely for family. Family? I laughed. Family remembers, right? Well, I remember every slight, every insult, every time I was told I wasn't good enough. Eloise Bridal doesn't dress people who treat others as less than. It's bad for our brand. You're making a mistake. The Lou Pemberton wedding will be the event of the season. Then I'm sure they'll find an appropriate designer. Good luck. I hung up and went back to my alterations appointment. The Valentina fit like a dream, every pearl catching the light perfectly. You look radiant, the seamstress said. I feel radiant, I admitted. My phone buzzed. A text from James. How's my CEO fiancé doing? Living her dream. I typed back, in her dream dress, and for the first time in my life, that was exactly what I deserved. The wedding was everything I'd dreamed of. The grand ballroom was transformed into a garden paradise. Hundreds of guests, including several family members who'd mysteriously discovered prior commitments when Mom disinvited them for taking Harper's side. I walked down the aisle in my Valentina, feeling like a queen. James waited at the altar, tears in his eyes. In the front row, his family beamed. My side had my friends, my chosen family, and the staff from all 3 boutiques who'd become like sisters to me. Mom wasn't there, neither was Chloe. They'd sent a card, a generic one from the drugstore, with a $20 bill inside, the ultimate insult disguised as a gift. I donated it to charity. During the reception, Marie pulled me aside. Harper, you need to see this. She showed me her phone, a society blog post about Chloe's wedding. The photo showed her in a dress that looked like a knockoff of the Valentina, similar style but clearly inferior construction. The comments were brutal. Is that supposed to be an Eloise Bridal? Budget version much? My friend got married in the actual Valentina last month. This is just sad. Chloe Liu, great value addition. I shouldn't have felt satisfied, but I did. Don't gloat, James said, appearing at my shoulder. It's beneath you. I'm not gloating, I protested. I'm just observing. With satisfaction. Come dance with your husband, you successful, vindictive angel. As we spun on the dance floor, surrounded by people who actually loved and supported me, I thought about family, about blood versus chosen, about deserving versus earning. Mom had been right about one thing, family remembers. But she'd been wrong about what they remember. They remember who showed up when times were hard, who celebrated your successes instead of diminishing them, who saw your worth even when you couldn't see it yourself. Looking around the room at my real family, the ones I'd chosen and who'd chosen me, I realized I hadn't lost anything by standing up to Mom and Chloe. I'd gained everything. And I'd done it in an $8,000 dress that I'd bought with my own money, from my own boutique, for my own wedding. Because that's what I deserved. Not because someone else said so, but because I finally believed it myself. 2 years later, Eloise Bridal was featured on the cover of Bridal Business Monthly. The article highlighted our expansion to Milano and our innovative approach to inclusivity in bridal fashion. The reporter asked about my inspiration. Every bride deserves to feel worthy, I said, deserving, beautiful, not because of their last name or their family connections or their budget, but because they're choosing love, they're choosing themselves, and that's always worth celebrating. The article mentioned our unique company policy. We reserved the right to refuse service to anyone who belittled or demeaned others in our stores. Even family? The reporter asked. Especially family, I said. They should know better. Mom sent me the article with one word: congratulations. It was the closest to an apology I'd ever get. I framed it and hung it in my office, right next to a photo from my wedding, me and the Valentina, surrounded by my chosen family, radiating joy. The girl who'd been told she deserved less had built an empire on the principle that everyone deserves more. And it all started with refusing to give up a dress. Sometimes the best business decision is simply saying no. And sometimes the best family is the one that sees you in your dream dress and says, yes, you deserve this, you deserve everything, even if, especially if, you have to say it to yourself first.